Hi all, welcome to the channel, welcome to the workshop. We have something new on the workbench, certainly new for the channel. So this has been brought to me with a broken joystick, as you can see there. So that's just wiggling all over the place. I already know what the problem with this is. Inside here are these little joysticks, and it's this grey bit that's actually snapped within this. I've already checked it out, and this is where I've got the parts. The other little problem is you can see the right button there is also cracked and broken. So I've got a new one of those to put in as well. So that's what we're going to do. We've got 2 screws on the bottom of here, and we're just going to undo both of those. That will allow these to slide off, and then it will reveal some additional screws. We've got these silver ones in here. You just need to undo those ones as well. Okay, so now all those are either out or loose. We can pop off this cover, just like that. That gives us access to the battery, which you can just take out. And then we've got a few more screws to undo. We've got one in there, 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 and just there. So we've got 5 more screws to undo. And that's the last one coming out there. So now we can prise these apart. Now you want to do this gently because there is a ribbon cable that joins the 2 halves together, and these bottom halves do have a little sticky tab on them, so you will want to use a little bit of force. Right, so now that that's loose, you'll see that there is a ribbon cable there. So you just need to be able to get in there and just prise up the little door, and then that ribbon cable will come out just like that. So as I said, the stick is broken, so we're going to be replacing that one. And the way that we do that, we need to take this circuit board out, and we have to desolder the pins on the back of this, remove that, and then put the new one in place, and then put it all back together. Obviously, when we do that, we're all replacing the button on there as well. So take the circuit board out. Looks like we've got 1, 2, at least 3 screws. So, and this white one actually, 1 white bit. So I'll get those out and carry on from there. Right, so that's all the screws removed to allow access to the back of the circuit board. So what we need to do, we need to desolder these pins and then pull that out of the front of there. So I've just put some flux on here. I'm just going to actually add a little bit of low melt solder, because that should make it flow a lot nicer. Now I'm just going to use a bit of solder braid. And we're going to wick up the solder. Right, so after a bit of desoldering, that is now the broken one out. So now it's just a case of clean up this. You can see that the pads are relatively clean anywhere where I've used the solder wick, but I'm just going to go over it with the solder wick and then some isopropyl alcohol, just to make sure all the pads are nice and clean. And then we'll put the replacement joystick control in, and we solder that. So just give this a clean off now to get rid of all the excess flux. So just cleaned off both sides of the board there with a bit of isopropyl alcohol. Right, so I've got that one all lined up and pushed through there, as you can see. So now it's just a case of adding some solder and putting a double solder on each of those, making sure they're all secure. Now that's done, I'll just again use a bit of isopropyl alcohol just to give this a clean, and then I'll check all the solder connections to make sure I'm happy with them. So that's all those soldered back into place. You see none of them are loose. And tap all those, and they're all nice and solid on those pads. And then, as you can see, it's nice and solid on there as well. So now it's just a case of reassembly. And this is the reverse of what we did to disassemble. I've already put this bit of plastic back in and the buttons in the light pipe. So I just need to slide the circuit board so that it goes underneath that. And it's just a case of wiggling it so that it comes and sits over the peg there. And obviously the charging port is nicely sat in that hole. Right, so just reassembling this. So I've put the 2 screws in to hold the circuit board back in place. We're just going to put the little light pod back in place, just like that. Again, secure that with a screw. So that's all now working, connected. It just needs the top to go back on there, but before we do that, I am just going to address this broken button. And looks like we need to take out this section here to be able to remove that button. Got a little ribbon cable there. I'll pull that one out. Okay, so that's freed up that entire assembly. Now I'm just going to wiggle that button out and put the new button back in place, just like that. Just have a little tab on it, so you just need to make sure it sits behind there. But that's now assembled. Double checking these other buttons, they're all good. No point in changing the other 2 buttons, I don't think. As I've got them, I will. Right, so for these lower buttons, they've got this little pin there. I just need to pull that pin out. And that will release the button like that. And then just replace that one. And push the pin back in. just like that. So that's now fine. And then we just replace this last one as well. I'll put the new one in. So we now have a full set of new buttons on there. All working absolutely lovely. So we'll just place that one in there. Put the 2 screws back in. And then remember to reattach this little ribbon cable. So now I've done that, it's just a case of reassembling these 2 halves, remembering to attach the ribbon cable to that connector there. Right, so that ribbon cable is reattached. Now we just need to put the joysticks back on. And they just push on. Just like that. Again, just push this back over. Make sure that tape reseats. Just do a quick check, make sure all buttons are pressing, and they all are. And then I'm going to be reassembling with the screws we took out earlier. And then replace the battery. Replace the back cover. And the 4 silver screws. And then we've just got those sections to go back on, and then the 2 screws in the bottom, and we're done. Okay. One perfectly looking fixed controller. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed that video, please do remember to give me a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please also remember to hit that subscribe button and ding that bell, and then you'll be notified when I release new videos. That's now 1 game controller ready for more hours of gaming. Until next time, I'll see you around.